Alright, so in this tutorial we're going to create a rolling robot similar to the Star Wars BB-8. This uses some of the same principles as the car tutorial. So first we want to get our basic shapes. We want a sphere, and you can choose any sphere from anywhere that you have it. That's fine. I'll go ahead and add a sphere, and then I want the hemisphere as well. So I'll add both of those. Hemisphere is of course a bit too big. First I'm going to move it up a bit, and then I'm going to scale it down. And then I'll move it up a little more. There we go. Okay, and you can have it sunk down in there if you want it. It's not really going to matter because this is going to be the parent and this will be the child, and so they won't actually interfere with each other at all. So at this point we want to add physics to both of them. Want to activate physics, but you actually need different settings for both of them. You'll notice that the bottom one is square, and that's not going to roll at all. So go ahead and pick the bottom one and set your physics shape to sphere so it can roll. Okay, now go to the top one and set it to kinematic. The bottom one remains at dynamic. Alright, so at this point we're ready to rig it up, and what we're going to do is go ahead and add our constraints, or constraint in this case. We're going to use a generic constraint. Just drag it onto the ball so it's attached to the ball there, and we want it in the center of the ball, so we'll use the align tool for that. Okay, and align to X, Y, and Z. Center, if you've put the pivot in the center, then you can also just leave it, set it to pivot. Okay, so and then with the constraint still attached, we need to pick the target, and that will be the head. Alright, and then come down in the settings, and you want to, in the rotate section, make sure everything is set to free. Leave the move all locked. Okay, so there we have that. And now what we'll do is go ahead and add a physics plane into our scene. And of course you can just animate this, animate this top part around since it's kinematic. But what I'm actually going to do is go into my characters and pick my favorite robot engine. The robot has no collision shapes on him, so that's why I always choose him. Alright, now open your scene manager. Then right click on the head of the robot, and we want to attach that to the name of the robot. That attaches it to the root. And there you go. And then we can select a robot and add on the persona so it can move like the car. We don't care about if the robot animates correctly or not, especially. You can also use any motion at this point because the robot is going to follow the root, which stays on the ground. So I'm going to go ahead and import my persona again. And so there we go. And then I'm going to throw a little texture on the ball so I can tell that it's moving around. So there's my favorite texture. Alright, so there we go. And now if I select my robot and move it around my scene a little bit, then I should be able to move the robot, and the ball robot will then move. So I'll select slow and have it roll forward. Again, on some terrain you might want to lower the robot down into the ground a little bit to get better traction. So, and play with the physics settings of the ball itself. It may need a higher level of, damping in some cases, or, better traction. So you can play with those as you need. Okay, hope that helps.